This is Autoline Daily, the show dedicated to enthusiasts of the global automotive industry. Is Apple ever going to really come out with an electric car? Maybe, but it just hit another setback. Reuters reports that Apple wants CATL and BYD to open battery plants in the U.S., but the Chinese companies are refusing to do that. CATL is concerned over trade tensions between the U.S. and China. Apple also wants the battery companies to set up dedicated teams just for Apple. But CATL and BYD don't want to do that either. So now Apple is reportedly looking into Japanese battery makers, especially Panasonic. Somebody forgot to tell Lamborghini that there's a chip shortage crippling the automotive industry. It set all-time sales records for the first 9 months of the year. Lambo sold 6,902 vehicles, up 23% from 2020, which in turn was up 6% from 2019. Lamborghini says it will have hybrid versions of all of its models by 2024 and will have a BEV coming out sometime before the end of the decade. Renault reported its preliminary sales and revenue for the third quarter, and the numbers are miserable, or maybe I should say miserable. Revenue dropped more than 13% to just under 9 billion euros. Sales plummeted 22% to just under 600,000 units. That was led by a big drop in Europe. And as you probably know, Renault doesn't sell any cars in two of the biggest markets in the world, China and the US. And we were surprised to learn that after France, Renault's next biggest market is Russia. BEVs and PHEVs are really starting to capture significant market share in Europe. According to the European Automobile Manufacturers Association, they hit nearly 20% of sales in the third quarter. Hybrids accounted for another 20%. BEV sales in Q3 shot up 57% compared to a year ago, with more than 212,000 sold. They now account for nearly 10% of the market, about triple what it is in the US. At the same time, ICE sales are plummeting in Europe. Sales of gasoline-powered vehicles fell 35%, and diesel sales dropped by more than half in the third quarter.
We want to know what drives your testing. OTA, connected car, diagnostics, remote testing. Intrepid Control Systems is here to help you work from anywhere. Intrepid Control Systems, driven by your data.
Toyota still doesn't believe very strongly in BEVs. Toyota's Gil Pratt, the head of its research institute, says not everyone should drive a BEV. He says other solutions should be used to reduce emissions. So here's our Autoline insight. Toyota calculated wrong. It put almost all of its chips on hybrids, and it's investing heavily in fuel cells too. It believes we need a variety of solutions, not just BEVs, and that governments should not be picking technologies. Conceptually, Toyota's right. But here's the flaw in Toyota's logic. Countries all over the world are banning the internal combustion engine. Whether this is the right thing to do doesn't matter at this point. They're banning them. And if a car company is not ready to deal with that reality, well, like the old saying goes, you can't fight City Hall. And just look how long it's taken Lexus to come out with its first plug-in hybrid. The 2022 NX 450h Plus is the brand's first ever PHEV. Its 2.5-liter four-cylinder engine is paired with an electric motor, which combined for a total of 304 horsepower. And while Lexus didn't reveal the 0 to 60 time, it says the plug-in is the fastest in the NX lineup. But we should note this is the same setup as the RAV4 Prime, which does 0 to 60 in 5.7 seconds. It also didn't reveal the battery size, but again, it's the same setup as the RAV4 plug-in, which has an 18.1 kilowatt-hour pack. Lexus says the NX 450h Plus will be able to travel 37 all-electric miles. Pricing for the NX PHEV starts just north of $56,600, including destination charges, but before incentives. Ford is going right after Jeep with the new Bronco and Bronco Sport, and it's taking a page right out of Jeep's book by showing off the aftermarket potential of its SUVs at SEMA. Ford will have a number of vehicles on display with parts lists that should sound pretty familiar, like Dana front and rear axles, Fox coilover suspension, bead locking wheels, and large off-road tires. We especially like this fire responder concept that looks like it's been converted into a mini pickup, as well as this one. I mean, how could quad snow tracks not be fun? You'll be able to see even more wild rides at SEMA, which kicks off on November 2nd.
Mobility is becoming electric, connected, and autonomous, just like the manufacturing world. But will always be one thing: a reliable partner for our customers.
GMC introduced the new Sierra, and each trim gets a refreshed front bumper, fascia, grille design, and new LED headlamps. It also features an animated lighting sequence when approaching, starting, or walking away from the truck. Moving to the interior, a new 13.4-inch infotainment screen and a 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster are standard on SLE trims and above. There's also new color and stitching designs to give the truck an even more premium feel. Two new trims are available: the Denali Ultimate and AT4X. The Denali Ultimate comes with a bunch of standard equipment, including Super Cruise and a carbon fiber bed. The interior is wrapped in leather, and it has its own unique trim and features. It's standard with a 420 horsepower 6.2-liter V8 mated to a 10-speed automatic transmission. Pricing for the Denali Ultimate starts just over $80,000. The AT4X trim is a more off-road capable version of the Sierra. It features Multimatic DSSV spool valve dampers, a 2-speed transfer case, front and rear e-locking differentials, as well as off-road chassis and suspension calibrations. The AT4X is equipped with the same V8 engine as the Denali Ultimate and has a starting price just under $75,000. Other powertrains offered in the Sierra include a 2.7-liter turbo with 20% more torque that's mated to an 8-speed automatic, a 3-liter inline 6-cylinder diesel mated to a 10-speed automatic, and lastly, a 5.3-liter V8 that's also matched to the 10-speed. The new GMC Sierra will start arriving in dealer showrooms in the first quarter of 2022. Forget forklift trucks or automated guided vehicles. SEAT is testing drones to deliver parts at the assembly line. It launched a pilot project at its Martorell plant with drones programmed to fly autonomously above the factory floor. The drones aren't delivering parts yet. The first part of the test is to make sure they can properly navigate around the plant. But the idea is to have them transport lightweight components directly to line workers to make manufacturing more efficient. Cadillac showed off a cool-looking concept car for the Lyriq several years ago. And usually when a car company shows off a concept car, it never really makes it into production, or it's heavily modified for engineering or manufacturing reasons. But the Cadillac Lyriq production car looks almost exactly like the concept car. And on Autoline After Hours yesterday, Cadillac's top 2 designers talked about how they used the concept car to drive the design of the production version.
It wasn't like some vague vision or a sketch on the wall. It was like, no, here it is, and it's this working thing internally before we even release it to the public. Our team was looking at it and leadership was looking at it. So it became very clear. It's like, no, and that helps to get everybody just like focused and aligned, and you talk about working more efficiently. Like Brian said, not everybody was happy about it, but it very clearly, at least from a design side, it lines all up just right away. Like, this is what we're trying to do here. And especially, other parts of the company helps sometimes to see it too, when you get other people are excited too. And all of a sudden it's not just a sketch on the wall or a clay mock-up on the design. They're actually engaging with it. that also gets people excited, like, oh yeah, we have to do these. We got to do this. And whereas before, sometimes you can only sell an idea so much with a sketch or an animation or whatever it is compared to seeing in person. I remember on the interior, on the wood decor, we're doing the laser cut pattern with the backlit lighting. That doesn't exist in the industry. And that was one same thing, like Brian was saying, originally we had something that was going to be a little bit more simplified. It definitely did not have any lighting. And when we did it on the show car, we really wanted to push it, and everybody loved it so much. I remember Mark Royce came in and was like, we're absolutely doing that. It's like, we're not going to show this and then have somebody else come out afterwards and steal our idea.
And if you'd like to catch more of that episode, you can watch it right now on our website or YouTube channel. But that's an end for today and this week. Thanks for joining us, and I hope you have a great weekend.
Autoline Daily is brought to you by Bridgestone, solutions for your journey. Intrepid Control Systems, over-the-air engineering, boost your game. And by Scheffler, we pioneer motion. Wards is the industry leader for news, data, and analysis. That's why companies across the globe subscribe to our premium service, maybe even your own. Log in for subscriber access now. Check your company's intranet for details and rely on wardsauto.com to keep you informed.